Welcome back, everybody, to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For, recording here in 2020 after a few weeks. Taking quite the break here.
It's
and
been a little more than 2 weeks.
Yes, quite a while. Sitting here with my buddy Kevin. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. I'm Kevin Horde. That's Lorenzo Fan over
I
there.
didn't introduce ourselves at all, did I?
Yeah. No?
I'm out of step. Way out of step. It's been a while. It's been a long... From what, our standpoint, it's been a month since recording. So...
Yep.
More than. So, a lot has happened. We had a few holidays happen. I am sitting here counting down the days until Rise of the Resistance opens. Rise of Skywalker came out.
Yeah, it did
in that interim. So, a lot of things rising right now. Which is really funny as I'm after the side tangent. We haven't discussed this at all, but after Rise of Skywalker, the fact that we have a ride called Rise of the Resistance is just fucking hilarious to me.
I'm pretty sure the ride is going to be about this show and feature Kazuda Xiono very heavily.
Dear God. No, that would be the worst ride ever.
I don't think I agree with you there.
It'd be the worst ride ever. Because it'd be a ride in which you're being told that you're going to spy, and then Kaz would just pop up around every corner and be like, "You're doing great, you spies," and just saying it out loud.
There'd be some arm flailing. Yeah.
There's not enough technology great, for animatronics to move that much.
Sure.
But anyways, we'll report on Rise of the Resistance and Rise of Skywalker in a different venue. We are trying to get back into the swing of things, clearly very poorly on my end. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Resistance. We're catching up on that. We took a good little break from everything to just enjoy the holidays, but we're going to get back into talking about episode 11 of season 2, that's Station to Station, which aired December 15th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You and I watched the same episode at least.
Yeah, I had to actually go back and take a look at what the last episode we saw was.
No.
I didn't rewatch it, but
okay.
I had to figure out where we were at in this timeline because there has been a bunch that have come out since then. So
yeah. So Kaz's Curse was the last thing. We're moving on station to station. Should we just get into the recap and then we'll start our discussion?
Yeah, please do.
All right. Again, spoiler alert, even though this one's been out for a while now. Again, this is spoiler alert for Station to Station, Season 2, Episode 11 of Star Wars Resistance. You have been warned. All right, we start the episode with Rucklin and Tam messing around. Rucklin is complaining that they never get to do anything cool in the First Order. Meanwhile, immediately Tam gets a mission for a supply run on a ship. The ship is called Titan. Happens to be a very similar ship to the Colossus, which is why they were sent there, as they would be familiar with the layout. While there, Tam thinks she sees Kaz. Turns out it is Kaz and Neeku, who are getting parts for a trans-binary deflector. Tam does not get confirmation that it is Kaz, but the audience does. There is a note that everyone on the Colossus will die if Kaz and Neeku do not get this replacement part from the Titan. Kaz happens to bump into General Hux, who needs a technician. Kaz helps out the best he can, while also hiding his face. Hux then runs into Pyre, who would know who Kaz is. Kaz hides his face even more. Hux and Pyre have a little walk and talk, West Wing style. They head off to a meeting. Kaz is following them because they still want the technician around for some weird reason. And then when they get to the meeting room, technician's job is done. Kaz steps back. He is relieved there. Neeku and Kaz, they start heading off to the engine room controls to try and shut off the deflector before they remove it. Otherwise, things will not go well for them. That is done, and then Neeku and CB-23 heads down to meet them in engineering after they shut off the deflector. Tam overhears about a Nikto technician, and she goes off to investigate because after seeing what she thought was Kaz, hearing about Nikto, that raises all of her suspicions there. Rucklin separately sees CB-23, follows her to the deflector, finds Kaz and Neeku. Rucklin reports Kaz and Neeku and locks them in the engineering room. Is it the engineering room? Is that where they're actually at? Is that what that's called?
So I was going to
unknown.
bring that up later. We'll talk about that.
We'll get to that.
We'll try to lock down geography.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. While they're locked in, Kaz and Neeku, they go ahead and just grab the transbinary deflector just to have it. They try and make their way out. Doors are locked, as Rucklin has done. Tam is observing all of this on a monitor. Gets full confirmation that it is Kaz and Neeku that are in there. All the alarms are blaring and klaxons are going off, all that stuff. She overhears that Kaz and Neeku talking to each other. They're like, if we don't get this back, everybody on the Colossus will die. So Tam is like, oh no, that's not good. So she goes ahead and discreetly unlocks the door, heads down there, finds them, confronts them. They run off, Kaz and Neeku, that is. But Tam throws some stormtroopers off the scent, as it were, and points them in a different direction. Pyre and Hux, however, do find Kaz and Neeku. They escape this situation, and they head to the big shuttle room. There's another sequence that happens as they are heading to the shuttle. They do board the shuttle. Ties attacks the shuttle, but it's not quite a dogfight. We actually see more from Tam and Rucklin's point of view. They have a little conversation where Tam discovers that it is Rucklin who discovered and reported Kaz and Neeku. But while that happens, the shuttle does jump to light speed and escapes. Hux is angry with Pyre that any resistance members would have infiltrated the ship and escaped as well. So Pyre and Tierney create a plan to use Tam to get to the Colossus, and that is when we cue fanfare. Very quiet fanfare this time, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember the fanfare.
If existent at all. I just remember it like kind of popping up. So, but yeah, is that pretty much everything in a really quick nutshell?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. Where do you want to start with this one? Should we start with the appearance of General Hux? How do you feel about General Hux showing up here?
That's actually my last note, but that's okay. So I feel like I want to do is discuss this episode in the context of The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that okay to do?
Yes.
So I'm going to throw out a spoiler alert for The Rise of Skywalker, but I would imagine that if you're here listening to something on Star Wars Resistance, you've probably seen The Rise of Skywalker, right?
Hopefully, at this point, it's been about a full month since it's been released. So
right, about a month.
Yeah,
but I do wanna preface with I will be talking about some things in The Rise of Skywalker. You've been warned. We're gonna move on from there. So we do find out, and it would have been. I guess the timing wouldn't have worked out from when the release of this show was as opposed to when The Rise of Skywalker came out, right? Because this was like 2 days before.
Right.
No, not 2 days before.
About a week, or just under a week.
Just under a week before. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Hux is a mole, right?
Yes.
For the purpose of feeding info to the Resistance, not for purposes of,
not for the First Order spying on the Resistance, but the Resistance spying on the First Order.
Right. So, what he all he wants is for Kylo Ren to fail, right?
Which is separate conversation. In terms
Separate
of what I was
conversation.
gonna say.
So that's his motivation, is that he wants, he's got a personal grudge against Kylo Ren, so he's feeding some information for Kylo Ren himself to be taken down as a failure, whatever.
Right.
I feel like it would have been nice if we couldn't, because this was released, about a week beforehand, we couldn't in this episode get like a full-on, this is what Hux is doing, but maybe a little nudge in that, in that direction. Or even if this just came out 2 or 3 days after, right? If this was 1 week delayed.
When does this episode take place, though?
I'm not really sure, because
I think we're still closer to The Last Jedi and not Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's still fine, because there is going to be a turning point for Hux where he's like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm going to do what I can to undermine him to get his ass,
Because I'm not going to lie. Okay, so
it's literally a personal grudge.
Well, because there is a line, too, here where General Hux does mention the Supreme Leader. He does not say which. He just stops at Supreme Leader. And I had that question, too. I was like, I was in full Deadpool where I was like, McAvoy or Stewart? Who are we talking about?
Right.
So.
And that's a good point also. Is this before or after the end of The Last Jedi?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say
because I think that'll make a huge difference.
I'm going to say it's after.
I would agree with you.
Okay, so how long would you say that The Last Jedi, time frame wise?
It's days. Most. Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely not a full week.
Yeah.
It's maybe like 3 or 4 days at most. Right?
And we have already gone through 10 episodes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there has been a time dilation there of even in between like episodes, potentially weeks like or a month.
Weeks or something.
This is after Snoke is no more. The Supreme Leader is Kylo Ren at this point in time.
And that's where I wish the script would have been a little bit more clear on who Supreme Leader is.
Like if he just said Supreme Leader Ren.
Right. Or instead of just saying Supreme Leader, just especially if you're trying to lay down foundation. I understand what you mean. And I understand what you're getting at. And this is where like a little script change of like maybe not even calling him Supreme Leader, but just saying something derogatory and then just saying Kylo. Right? Like,
yeah,
that seems in character for Hux, right? To like only call him Supreme Leader to Kylo's face, but like,
I feel like he would be the type of commander. He would be the type of general that would, in the presence of subordinates, use like proper terms. But then maybe in the presence of contemporaries, he would say something else, right?
Yeah.
He's still putting the front on. He's still pulling the fucking long face, not breaking the emotion, even though he kind of does a little bit in this episode, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, I have no problems with Hux here. We aren't running in too many issues of Pyre plus Tyranny plus Von Reg, now Hux.
His voice threw me off.
Yeah, it's not.
It was okay. Kind of
it's
in
not
the
the worst.
It's
not a great match though.
And I know that. So this would be the second episode that Hux has been in this series.
Are you counting his appearance of the speech from Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep. And that was just a straight audio poll.
Right.
Like that wasn't a re-recording or anything.
Right.
Even though Domhnall Gleeson has like the voice acting credit for it in that episode. it's slightly distracting from my perspective that it is somebody doing a Hux impression as opposed to the voice of Hux himself, especially since we have seen this character before and it was Hux, right?
I don't mind that, if only it looks like Ben Prendergast is the actor playing General Hux in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind. It's like on the Clone Wars where we have Ahmed Best playing Jar Jar, and then we have other episodes where it's not.
Yeah.
And that is off, but the other actor whose name I did not commit to memory.
Bill Tony Street Guy, I think is what it was.
But at least like the characterization is there. In this one, it's just he doesn't get to the spirit of Hux nearly enough, you know?
You know what? He does a little bit until Hux gets emotional, and then it's kind of arm wavy.
Just straight yelling. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know. In the beginning, when I first heard him, I was like, okay, like, I question, is that Gleason, you know? And then it just kind of slowly, by the end of the episode, there's no question, you know, this is somebody else. And I think this is an issue that we've come up with for this season of this show. Not the first, you know, the first season had like the cast and crew, all the crossover characters were voiced by their live action counterparts.
Right.
Season 2, not so much.
Nope.
That gives me the feeling of like Aladdin 2 Return of Jafar, right? Where it's not Robin Williams, but then Robin Williams comes back right later, you know?
Yeah. Contract disputes, man. Contract disputes.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
But speaking of Hux, as far as his character in this episode, that would be my only critique. And it's not even a complaint, you know?
Right. Because it's something that's only present. Like, if we had seen this December 15th, like, that is not... We have not had... Like, other than the voice acting, but, like, the character decisions itself, whether or not he's trying to plant seeds of being a spy, being a mole.
Oh, I watched this December 15th.
Yeah. I did not, definitely. After, you know, if you go back to our last reviews for the last handful of episodes, I had no desire to.
Lorenzo did take a nice little break from Resistance in general. I did watch this on the 15th. I watched it when it came out, and I have been waiting patiently for the past month to talk to you about it.
You've been stewing on this one, man. I watched this today for the first time.
Yeah, Hux was not on my radar as sticking out as a sticking point in this episode. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So sticking with character decisions, shall we say? How do you feel about Tam in this episode? It's our first Tam-centric episode, or Tam-containing episode, I guess.
I really felt that this is what we expected out of Tam.
Yeah.
From the end of last season.
This is what I expected out of season 2, basically.
I agree, and I will expound on that when we get to like our final review of this episode. But Tam in this, I thought worked well. Like in the beginning, she's kind of doing just some mundane, you know, day-to-day stuff with the First Order. Rucklin's bitching about it.
Yeah.
Does Rucklin?
And I actually like both of them together in this episode too, or like I like both of them separately. I like the presence of both of them in this episode in general,
and having them like paired together.
And how at some point I even like the way the story kind of separates them and they go off and make their own decisions and then come back together. And then Tam is like having a come to Jesus moment about Rucklin's decisions, right?
Yeah, Tam does have like these weird Shakespearean asides where like she is like shoulder to shoulder with Ruckland and like commenting on what is going on around her, and he is 100% oblivious. Like she's speaking to the audience,
Right.
But sometimes you need that. It's fine.
This episode, between that and the moment at the door where Neeku and Kaz explain again why they need the binary deflector, right?
The trans-binary deflector
Right.
shield generator.
I found that moment really funny where both Kaz and Neeku know why they need that, and there is no reason for them to say that out loud again.
Is this when she is watching like the holo footage or whatever?
Yeah, the monitor, yeah.
Okay. And not only that, like he's like, "Oh, Neeku, like we need to figure this out." Niku's like, "Mr. Kazuda Ziono, if we don't figure out how to get out this door, everyone on the Colossus is going to die."
Right, from like radiation poisoning or something like that? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, it could not... It's the weirdest setting of stakes I have ever seen in an episode of television, where they set high stakes, and yet we don't really feel them because they only say it, you know? We never see it. We don't see the dangers of it.
Well, it's also weird that Pyre calls it like a useless component.
Right. So, here's what I don't get. They took the component from the Titan. Is the Titan fucked, or are there more? Are there other?
So if you look, there's like 3 of them. They only took 1.
They took 1. Okay.
Yeah. So,
but if 2 go down, then they're fucked.
This MacGuffin has its little issues. Okay.
Right.
So, when Ruckland and Tam get to the Titan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ruckland's like, "Oh, I know where to go. It's the same layout as the Colossus. Like, it's whatever, you know." However, Neeku and Kaz don't know where to go.
Right.
When
They're
should.
getting confused. Yeah.
Okay, so set that issue aside.
It's because the Chile Day aren't there to help guide them around.
Yeah, but you think they would know, like, oh, this particular component is failing, so they would be able to go to the ship and go straight to where it is. But if they did that, you wouldn't have like the Tam discovering them and yada yada yada. So, you know, that's plot convenience. That's fine. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. They
They have to go through this, you know, hoop A, hoop B to get to plot point C. That's cool. Whatever. Kaz not being able to like extract this thing, totally believable, because he's a half nitwit sometimes, and he Forrest Gumps his way through a lot of what he's doing, even though he has been learning like technical skills, mechanical skills, engineering skills, like, and he's a go-to repairs person. In the heat of the moment, I think Kaz doesn't necessarily do well under pressure, especially when there's like klaxons blaring and all this other shit, right? And Neeku is like standing around and he's like, "Yeah, Kaz, it's because you're doing it wrong." They get the thing out, it's all cool, you know, caught by Ruckland, all that stuff. And then my biggest question was, how did they get on the ship to begin with?
Right.
And
this is a big shuttle too, like that huge shuttle.
Well, you know what shuttle it is?
No.
So,
what is it?
Do you remember when Aunt Z and Hype Phazon were like hauled off or whatever?
Oh, right.
So this is the same shuttle. That's what I gathered, because I was also thinking, like, the first time I watched this episode, we're going through, and I'm like, well, what fucking shuttle do they have? Like, they didn't fly the fucking Fireball over here, you know? But it's that same shuttle. It's that same, like, landing shuttle that we see for the first time at the beginning of The Force Awakens. So that's what pulled from my memory, is that's where it came from. That's what Aunt Z and Hype and the other prisoners flew back to the Colossus, like, at the end of last season.
Okay.
So I guess they could just, like,
just land that and nobody checks.
Because it's a first order ship anyway, and
Right.
they come out and they're like, oh yeah, we're just engineers, and apparently everyone hates engineers on this ship.
Which, can we talk about technicians and the way the universe treats
That's
technicians?
what it was. Technicians, not engineers. Yes, please.
Because, okay, my first question, have we ever seen a technician before in the universe?
Not that I know of.
So, then, their orange outfits, I didn't look it up, but is it a reference to SNL? Is this a Matt the Technician reference?
Probably.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's the undercover boss thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I
Because that's all I thought the whole fucking time.
I know that it is a reference to something else because I honestly heard it on like another podcast, but I don't remember what it was. And I think if that's what's clicking in your brain, I'm gonna roll with it and say yes.
Because to me, this was it was like a huge canonization of everything the SNL undercover boss thing did with Kylo Ren.
I don't know if I would call it canon, but
not of the skit itself, but the fact that technicians exist and look the way they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
sure.
Because the outfit is laid out in that SNL skit.
Sure.
The way everybody talks trash about technicians is laid out in that skit. Like the non-specifics of that skit, shall we say, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But
so to that point,
you need to watch that skit, by the way.
I will put that on my list.
Because how you there are Matt the Technician cosplayers at like Star Wars Celebration and Comic-Con, man. Like,
yeah,
people basically treat Matt the Technician as like a canon character. Right.
Okay. I have no argument against that.
It's similar to the way the the ice cream maker is. The Mandalorian
Camtomo?
also pulled that one in, huh?
The Camtomo?
Yeah, the way Mandalorian also pulled that one in now too. So
That was well done. Kudos to Favreau there.
So I'm making you watch the undercover boss skit afterwards.
You won't be making me do anything. I will happily do it.
But yeah, so that was to me that was the most fun of this episode was the outfits and to your point, the way everybody was just trashing on these technicians and
fucking technicians.
Yeah, like, oh god, technicians. And like Kaz even leans into it too, where there's a scene where Neeku's almost about to be caught, and Kaz comes in right at the nick of time and is like holding an instrument, and he's like just spewing out a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo. And the stormtroopers are like,
techno jargon.
Yeah, and the troopers are like, oh, yeah, whatever, technicians, just do your fucking job. Like, we'll leave you alone, right? So I got a big kick out of that for sure. Yeah. So, yep. Matt the Technician, man. I was upset that Kaz's spy name for this episode wasn't Matt, and that he would be Matt the Technician or one of them.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah. Is Matt a universe appropriate name? Is that a name that would exist in this universe?
In Star Wars?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to look into that one. Writing myself a note here. Matt in Star Wars.
Because they're interesting. Like, there are like very normal names that will show up, and then there's like Luke is a fairly normal name. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have a name like Leia, which is not quite as.
I mean,
quite as
Han is an Earthbound name.
Right.
And then you have Orlando Calrissian.
Right.
Kylo Renzo.
Kylo. Yep. Again, and then Jace. That's a fairly standard, normal Earthbound name.
Sure.
But then Kazuda. Depending on maybe where we are.
No. Could
Neeku.
be.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Just, but Matthew, just a straightforward Matthew.
Well, Matt or Matthew, which one?
Both.
What's Hux's first name? How about that one?
Shit, what is his first name?
He's got an Earthbound name.
Looking it up.
While you're
he does not. Nope.
No, he doesn't.
Armitage.
Yeah. I went to school with like 3 Armitages. What are you talking about?
Wow, how did I only learn of his first name now? I've never looked into that.
Yeah. 3 Armitages at my high school. Only 1 Kevin, but 3 Armitages. For sure. A little detail that I really liked, and it took till like the second viewing for me to like smile at it, because it didn't click with me the first time. But CB23 is like plugged into a data port in the hallway. And Kaz is like, "What do you mean the data port doesn't work?" And that just like, to me, that was like a reflection of the Colossus, because the Colossus is like older and ricketier, and like shit's breaking down, and it's not for the fault of the Colossus and the people keeping repairs on the Colossus. The First Order has a probably larger technician team and group of individuals that are upkeeping this space station slash ship slash
fueling base
slash hotel slash I don't know, but and even under the First Order like supreme checklist, right, there's still shit that is malfunctioning a little bit,
right? Yeah.
So first time,
maybe it's ship specific, maybe it's
could be, man,
model specific.
Is this the same model ship as the Colossus? Like, I know Tam is like, ooh, they look similar, but is it like essentially the same ship?
I'm going to say it's in the same model family, but maybe not the same like year. Does that make sense?
Okay, so are we talking like 98 Corolla to a 2002 Corolla, or are we talking like a 2001 Corolla to a 2001 Camry?
I'm going to say like 98 to 2001 Corollas.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So like same.
So we got the same make, same model.
Yeah.
Different manufacturer year.
Yes.
Essentially.
Like minor changes, other customization options or speaker packages.
And we could even be going from like, an 80s Mustang to like a 2012 Mustang.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
So something like that. I think it's in that vein, because like the body shape is fairly similar, but again, there might be different. Think of the way like the way Delta and American Airlines might both order Boeing 737s, or 757s.
Maybe not the 737 anymore.
Not the MAX 8s anyways.
Not the MAX 8.
But but you get on the plane and the layout's different, seats are in a different position, different screens on the back of each chair, right? Galleys in different positions, bathrooms in different positions.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like the body itself,
I got you.
The engines on the plane are the same, right? So that's kind of how I looked at this situation without any real further evidence, right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that we do have one establishing shot at the beginning from the outside, and it looks strikingly similar to the Colossus for sure.
It does. It looks very similar, with the exception of kind of sleeker lines on the outside, which could be some like armor plating or something, or something that was just kind of neglected while the Colossus was like half buried in an ocean,
right?
And a nice sleek black paint job.
Yeah, definitely a different color scheme for sure. But yeah.
Do you think that Ruckland? We're jumping all over the place here. But do you think that Ruckland expected, like, when he quote unquote signed on with the First Order to be a pilot, that he literally thought all that he was going to be doing was flying like attack missions or something?
It's, to me, yes, in his character, he does sound dumb enough to think that, all flying all the time.
Because it looks like all he's doing is like either hooking up a power supply or like a fuel port, and he's bitching.
Yeah, he's like either hooking up a fuel port or it's like it's like a plug-in charger.
Yeah.
Or a waste line of some sort. The one you see like hooked up on the bottom of airplanes, you know?
Oh, like the blue water drain.
Yeah, that thing.
That's
what it looked like to me. I don't think that's what it is, but it just looks like that. So
I was gonna say, do you think that in a TIE fighter you can just like take a shit if you need to take a shit?
I was wondering this because
I don't think that's the case.
Luke is in the X-wing for way too long when he's flying a Dagobah. You know,
I don't think he's in there that long.
I don't know. Again, we do.
I mean, there's the question of like R2's like says something to Luke and he's like, no, I want to take it on manual for a while. So he's literally cruising at like sub light speed through space with like.
But at some point you gotta pee, right? Like.
Yeah, but it also goes back to the age old question of how long does light speed travel take?
Right.
Because sometimes it's like near instantaneous, and if Luke is just out there dicking around like flying loop-de-loops, and then he's like, oh, I really gotta pee, he'll just like hit light speed, boom, he's at Dagobah, and all he's gotta do is land.
I guess. I mean...
Unless light speed travel actually does take a specific amount of time, which is real ambiguous because sometimes it takes longer than others. It's not
even if you're just
100%
like,
instantaneous.
Yeah, but even if you're just like flying like planet side, you're not instantaneous from one end to the other, right? Like you still got to go around the planet, and that might take like even if like 30 minutes at best.
All right,
right,
Lorenzo. You live in the LA area,
right?
Do you have a device in your car so that you can take a leak if you're stuck in traffic? And I'm not talking about like a Gatorade bottle.
No, but there are options to stop, right? But we never see these people stop anywhere.
Well, no, because they're in space.
So where are they stopping?
Where are they peeing? Maybe it's like a wet. Maybe it's like a wetsuit. But I don't think that there's a collection device within the ship.
Okay, maybe not in the small fighters, but we know they exist now thanks to Mandalorian on some of the larger ships.
Well, we have also seen a shower and the refresher of the Millennium Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
That was on the Falcon, wasn't it? No,
was it?
I don't know. On the Falcon.
I don't recall seeing.
I'm talking about in Solo when Han and Chewie shower together.
Oh, you're right. No, it wasn't
not
on the Falcon. No, that was just on the base somewhere, right?
No, I thought they were on.
Or the other ship, the other Duke ship. Yeah.
The AT hauler.
Woody Harrelson ship. No. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, putting that on the list, we got. We got Matt in Star Wars. We got showers in Star Wars.
Toilets, toiletries.
Not gonna look at toilets.
But yeah, so anyways, that's a long distraction of just that's what that thing looked like to me is especially because he's hooking it to the bottom as well. So, you know, which after the last, oh no, because Mandalorian also has a different mechanism for how I am not calling him by his proper character name, but I've been calling him Moff Gus Fring.
Okay.
Because he's Gus Fring to me. So
Moff Gideon?
Gustavo. Is it Gideon?
I think so.
Yeah. So doesn't he also get out of the TIE fighter from the bottom as well? So
no, he comes out the top.
Oh, he does come out the top, right?
Yep. Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moff Gideon. He comes out the top. And then
Moff
he also
Gus
comes
Fring.
out another way later.
Yes, via other means
We're not
that
going
we
to
will
talk about
have to
that
discuss at some point. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but not here. We're not discussing that here. Maybe in Clone Wars for reasons.
Sure.
But anyways,
I got a couple more questions for you.
Shoot, go for it.
So you brought this up in your in your little nutshell breakdown, where do they go to shut off the deflector thing, right?
Yeah, the
And
trans-binary deflector.
because they have to go to a place to like turn off the power to it to then go and remove the thing safely, right? And so they go to engineering, and then later they go to engineering, right? It's described as engineering twice, but what it is one is the engineering control room, where they sneak in not very deftly, and I'm surprised they were not caught like 14 times.
Right.
They hit
were
a couple of buttons and they sneak back out, and then they go to the engineering deck, which is a different place and a different location, and this is the larger area where they actually do the extraction. But then also there, Neeku has to turn the thing off.
Another thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused by these multiple steps as well.
I think the first step is unnecessary because they already have to do like the second step, right?
Yeah.
And if the first step causes the first like power shut off causes complications, in my opinion, because there should be somebody monitoring these systems. Like if you just went in and shut off the life support system, even if there's like ambiotic air, right? For now, somebody should be monitoring that and be like, hey, somebody turned off that system that's keeping us alive. Hey, somebody turned off those fuck, what are they?
The turbo? No, I don't know. But
yeah,
so
somebody turned off the MacGuffin, and that's a bad thing, right? So like that first step is just like an unnecessary speed bump complication in the plot of this thing. I don't have a lot of negative comments about the plot of this episode. But that's a little hiccup that is unnecessary. And it's not like there's actually a challenge that is presented to Neeku and Kaz in doing this one task, right? They get in, they do it, they get out, no complications. Nobody sees them. They don't have to even do that much sneaking. Like they literally just crawl through the door, push 2 buttons, crawl out the door.
I like the way the sequence was technically put together, you know.
Okay.
I thought it was well done in that regard. I agree with you in the context of the story itself. I agree it serves no purpose. Again, for story purposes, I understand why the second room has to be empty, but I think it would have been way more thrilling if they extended the second half of this episode to be more sneaking around.
Okay.
Like it merge the 2 rooms, merge the purpose of their 2 rooms into one.
I'd be down for that.
Right. So like they're doing everything while sneaking around, right? That then causes the complication of like having this confrontation with Tam and Rucklin. But I kind of need the show to lean more into like a high tension, high suspense territory. They keep trying to like get there and play around with it. As again, it's that little segment was them making an attempt at it, but I was never really suspensed or tensed. You know?
Yeah, I was definitely not tensed by segment 1. Segment 2, and like when Rucklin comes in and catches them and turns them in, for a little bit I was like, oh shit, these guys are caught.
Right.
Like this is bad
and they're
news
trapped.
for Kaz.
Yeah.
And then you do have like Tam, who is in kind of an ambiguous hallway that ends up to be right outside the door.
Yeah, I was confused by that too. She got there like immediately. Like not even any sort of gap in between her running away from the monitor to showing up in the engineering room 2, as we'll refer to it as.
Yeah, I mean the way that I read it is that the monitor that she was using was right outside the door, but that doesn't make any sense because when she gets to that location where the monitor is, there's stormtroopers there
Right. It's never established as
that
her
run in
being
the
there.
other direction.
Right.
They're like, oh shit, there's some resistance spies. We got to go get them, and they
Exactly.
run away from the door that they should be going through.
Exactly. That's what I was confused by as well, is how quickly she got there. So there's definitely a little script doctoring that needs to happen here. Because then the rest of the episode for Neeku and Kaz as well is a series of again, to your point, when they first were caught by Jace, I was concerned. I was like, oh shit, that's like, how are they gonna get out of this one? Then they get out of it, then they get caught again by Hux and Pyre, then they get out of it, then they get trapped in the other room, then they get out of it, and then mayhem breaks out, and then they get out of it.
Man, Kaz is super lucky because when they were on that elevator, right?
Right.
They're on that turbo lift, and Hux is like, just saying, hey, we need to find these fuel stations, and if they're not in line with us, we destroy them. Kaz knows he's talking about the Colossus, even though Hux doesn't know he's talking about the Colossus, and he's pissed, so he turns around. That's when the door opens and Pyre's behind him.
Right.
Lucky guy.
But it's just the fact that like we keep getting these things building, stacking on top of one another rather than one single event building up.
Okay.
I think that would be a lot more effective than this A to B to C to D to E. You
think it would be more effective if it was one singular thing?
One like at least like drawn out. Again, because we go from engineering 1 to engineering 2 to like hallway.
Yeah, we're in the hallway,
shutting.
and then we go to the turbo lift, and then we go back to the hallway, and then engineering 1, then engineering 2.
Right. Like,
and then we haven't even talked about like the hangar scene at the end.
Exactly. That's that.
The hangar
sequence.
scene I could have kind of done without. And then we do have like another geographical questionality, shall I call it, where like Ruckland turns these guys in and then just leaves and doesn't even stick around to like make sure that somebody else comes to arrest them. He just like
that's why I don't
closes
get
the door, leaves. Tam lets them go. They meet back up. They go to a hangar, which I would assume would be the main hangar bay, which is where Kaz and Neeku's transport is, right?
Yeah.
And this mayhem is going on all around in that hangar, and they just like Ruckland's just walking back to his ship with his little Costco floaty cart like it's nothing.
Yeah, and everybody else is still like moving things around and just going about their daily business as well.
Right.
Right.
But I feel like this has to be a different location, even though
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, because I was confused by this too. And then there are these like Kuka arms that we've never. Have we ever seen these arms before? They're like lifting these
like
giant
forklift things.
They're like sort of like forklifts, but
no, I would say no. We haven't seen them before, but I'm totally cool with the way that they operated. Like I'm totally fine.
Yeah,
it totally makes sense.
I have no complaint about how they operate. I just don't know why we're seeing them now.
You got big ass containers that got to be moved around.
Right.
I think it's a means to get Kaz and Neeku from point A to point B and also have a complication along the way.
Right. Yeah. So that's my only maybe complaint about. My complaint is about the structure of this episode, not about the story itself per se. Right. But there just seems to be literally like 5 too many complications.
Okay.
When it could be one strong one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then, like, when Ruckland traps him in the engineering room, it's the biggest goddamn room, too.
It's the size of a hangar.
Right. Like, why does he not have handcuffs on him? Or how does he not, like, apprehend them in some other way?
I think he's cocky. I think he thinks that he got them. And he's better than them. Like, he makes a comment about the people on the Colossus when one thing we haven't talked about is that Tam is pretty nostalgic being in this location. She's like, man, I kind of miss it. Like at the beginning of the episode, she says, like, oh, doing all this routine shit back on the Colossus, like, was way more fun in Yeager's garage, and
Right. But she's nostalgic for maybe like a month prior, right? Like,
I think we're 4 or 5 months, 6 months. I think we're a half a year in here.
Okay.
I really feel like that. And Ruckland gives her shit for it, and then she says something again later, like when they actually get to it's the Titan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they get to the Titan, they're walking around. She's like, "Man, I kind of miss the Colossus." And he's like, "Why? That place was a shithole. Like, this place is way better, and it's clean, and shit's taken care of." And he calls them like ne'er-do-well ruffians or something, right?
Right.
Like they're gonna get what they deserve, and we picked the good side or the right side or whatever. And then he says something similar to Kaz later when Kaz is like begging with him. Kaz is like, yo, if you turn us in, everybody that has been your family or friends for however long Ruckland was on the Colossus is going to die. And he's like, that's your guys' fault for choosing the wrong side.
Again, it's so weird that they set those stakes and yet we never once really feel it.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of did, It's so weird. An interesting approach where you get no communication with the Colossus at all.
Right.
Like you don't get...
Which I think is good. I think for the purposes of this episode and this story to be told, you have to just stay here, right? You just have to stay with these characters.
Well, I'm saying you don't even get like Yeager or Doza like, yo, Kaz, hurry up. Like, what's taking so long? Like,
right.
OP Pit just passed out because he's got too much radiation, deflecting off of his floor buffer and he's going crazy.
Oh, God.
Or, whatever. But it's completely separate from the Colossus. This is the first episode where the Colossus itself and the main inhabitants of the Colossus have not been seen.
Right.
Which I really like. I'm going to make one more note of something that I didn't like so much, and then we can move on to Final Judgment.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of this episode, we have Tam and we have Ruckland. One, they don't have their helmets on, and they consistently and then inconsistently get bitched at about that.
Right.
Okay, whatever. We'll move on because we need to see these people's faces and not just hear their voices. But then it's Lieutenant Gaelic that comes up and like gives them this order.
Yes.
Gives them this mission. Then they leave. We never see Gaelic again.
Nope.
And then at the end of the episode, Pyre talks to Tierney. Pyre doesn't call Gaelic, even though he's talking about Ruckland and Tam.
Yes, yeah.
And it just goes back to the complaint that we've had that these three people really occupy the space of 1.5 characters.
Right, yeah. At best.
And that's all I have to say about that. But it did stand out to me because Gaelic hasn't been in the show enough for me to like lock her into my brain as a character.
I'm not gonna lie, I kept forgetting her name. I forgot she was a lieutenant even.
So did I.
Yeah.
Like
I remember her face. I just don't. I agree with you.
It's Tierney too.
Yeah, I don't understand her position here. Like she's a lieutenant, but Tierney is an agent, right? Like, how?
Yeah, because she's like with special forces or something.
Right.
Something different.
So, who is in command of who, and who's calling the shots, or are Tierney and Pyre like on even playing field? Like, if either of them have a good idea, they just go to the other, and the other one's like, cool, or no, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. Even within the structure of this story, it totally could have been just one of them. And it probably should have been like Tierney just showing up.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be Gaelic. I think Gaelic is supposed to be in charge of like the pilot core, right?
And like day-to-day operations of,
I guess,
this place.
And Tierney is like special forces general agent lady, and then Pyre is something else. Pyre's like Phasma stand-in or something. Even though Phasma was in like season 1, but and then there's also the red guy. What was his name?
Von Reg. Yeah,
mate, and he was a major.
Which I forgot about that too. I just remember Von Reg for some reason.
Yeah.
I forgot he was Major Von Reg. You're right.
Essentially,
Major
those 4 people are 2 characters in this show, and they got expanded into 4 for sure. Whatever reason. And I guess that gave us the opportunity to kill off Von Reg, which was a moment that we had, and we've moved on from that. But
well, they killed off Von Reg and then added Gaelic, and so
yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like when Pyre did call Tierney at the end, I was like, oh right, she exists.
I thought he was calling Gaelic, and then I was like, nope, different lady.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was gonna call Hux. So
nah, Hux is too mad.
He's like, if
you guys are all so fucking terrible, I'm just gonna sabotage this whole operation because I don't want to be a part of it anymore. This is the turning point for Hux. This is when he's like, fuck this, I'm just gonna give them information because these schmucks can't fucking do it anyway. I do want to learn that story at some point in time. Like, what is his turning point?
Well, if this show does help provide any context for that, because again, separate conversation, but I fucking hated that whole reveal. Then I guess something good will have come out of Resistance if it explains that decently enough.
We will find out.
But as laid out in Rise of Skywalker, that was just malarkey.
We will talk about that later.
Yes. So, anything else you got?
No. I would like to know if you think this one is malarkey or not.
Overall, I actually do like this episode.
Holy shit, people.
I know. As we were starting to say at the beginning, this is basically where season 2 should have just started off.
Yeah. I'll give this should have been like an episode 3 at the latest, season 2 episode 4.
At the late, yeah.
Like
no, 3 at the latest. Yeah, 3 at the latest.
Give us a little bit of breathing room at the beginning of the season. But
yeah,
it could have totally, this could have been the season premiere, and you just get thrown into, fuck, the Colossus needs something.
Yeah,
else.
The Colossus is fucked, and here's where we're at. Like, I would be down for that,
I guess we would have needed at least one episode of, this is immediately what happened to the Colossus after they jumped off of Castellan.
And, like, where are they going, right, and what are they doing? Like that, yes, I agree. So, like, 1, 2...
Maybe 3.
Yes. Yeah. So, 1 and 2, yeah, give that setup time. Yeah. This being 3, this is where we need to be. Or at least in this mode where it's like one straightforward story with multiple chess pieces floating around,
And yeah, so I'll give my opinion thumbs up as well. And what I will say to go along with what you're saying is that it's nice that we don't have to start on the Colossus and have people talk about, oh shit, we need this thing. Let's send Kaz and Neeku. And, like, we spend a lot of time discussing the plan before executing the plan. In this one, we just jump in.
And we're there. Well, let's put it this way, too. What I like about this episode versus the others is that, yes, even though this is another supply run mission for 2 sets of characters on separate supply runs, right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think of it that way, but you are 100% correct.
Those MacGuffins lead to character interactions that do push the story forward.
Uh-huh.
For the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas everything else leading up to this, all the other episodes, when they do supply runs, they just do supply runs. That's it. You know, like, the fact that they set up the stakes as high as they did for the classes in this episode, I don't think was necessary. I don't think it was unnecessary.
It worked well.
It works, but that is almost beside the point even. It's the fact that we get Kaz, Neeku, Tam, Ruckland interacting with each other in some way that affects their relationship. Right? That's what I'm here for. That's what I want.
I agree with you, and I think that this could have even carried itself over more than one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the closest that we've had to, like, a not even, like, a story arc, but a theme from, like, one episode to the next would be whatever that beast was that we saw on Live Fire, and then the hunt on Seltzer 3, the big space ice manta ray flying beast thing.
Yeah.
Dragon,
like where
whatever
they
it was.
wanted to eat it, yeah.
Right, where they had to kill it to get meat to eat. Like, that's the closest that we've had, and...
Of, like, a story carryover.
Right.
Like,
and
yeah.
I think that the bones of this story in this episode could have spanned more than one episode.
Well, I'm hoping at the very least that if the writing continues and actually builds, like, it should build off of this, right? I agree with you that hopefully next week's episode builds off of this.
What happens here?
Event, yes.
Yeah, totally.
That is where the show needs to be. Look, I mean, I could be disappointed. We could get another Kaz's Curse situation. So, but this, like, but what I mean by this show needed to be at this level the whole time. It's not in terms of what is happening in the MacGuffins, right? Like, that's not what I'm like. I don't need them to go anywhere specific. I don't need them like to go see Leia. I don't need anything like my personal needs I don't need to apply to this. I just need actual character growth and story movement here, right?
I think you've made that pretty clear. Like, this is more of a destination thing as opposed to like a means to an end, right? Because a lot of these episodes have been like, well, we need to show the means so we can get to the destination. But when, yes, those things are important because you do need fuel, you do need the other type of fuel, coaxium, you do need food, you do need credits. Like, those are complications along the way of where we're going. And when you're just focused on this minute detail of things, there's not like, okay, we got the thing, but what did we learn about these people? What is this? How does this help push our characters forward towards a goal somewhere? You know?
Or like another way to put this would be like, it'd be like if a movie didn't trust its audience enough where like a scene has to take place in a restaurant. Every movie just jumps to two people at a table, right? And you just make the assumption that they somehow entered a door, were seated, and were handed menus, right? This show, through 10 episodes, is the version of a bad movie that shows every step of the way of you having to get seated in a restaurant before we get to the argument that happens at the table, right?
Right. First, you're walking down the stairs. Then you've got to cross the street.
Yeah. They're getting out of the taxi. Yeah. Or no, even worse. We're seeing him leave the apartment.
Right. That's what I'm
ordering
saying.
A taxi.
Walking down the stairs. Cross the street. Hail the taxi.
Yeah. Hail the taxi.
Talk to the maitre d'.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, we have
your reservation was canceled?
Right. Well, we can squeeze you in, good sir. And then they get seated.
Your cell phone battery died and you got to borrow somebody's charger.
Yeah. Then they order food still.
Yeah.
then we get the conversation about what happened in the Colossus.
Yeah.
So that, look, this is a good episode. This is no way, I think, I like this episode. It still did not make me pumped to see the next episode. I think
that's unfortunate.
I think that's like kind of the trouble the show is still kind of having. It's not a show that would be on a weekly basis. It's not really getting me in a point where I'm like, oh, I need more. Like, oh, it's a whole week. Whereas like Mandalorian or Watchmen or other shows, right? Like even High School Musical, the series I started recently, and an episode ends and I'm like, we're ending there? What? This show ends and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to binge this, but if all episodes were available, maybe I would watch one tomorrow.
Yeah, like I would slowly make my way through. It would be in the rotation, but not the main course.
Okay.
Right.
That being said, give this one a one-word review.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I kind of forgot about that. It's been a long month of forgetting how this show works, our own show works.
So,
what do you got?
Yeah, what I've got is refreshing because I was pretty down and sad about the last two episodes.
Right.
But this one got me back into Star Wars Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And made me remember that even though along the way there are things that I was less enthused about, this is why I like this show. Because I do care about these characters, and like I do care about finding what happens at the end of this story. And this put me back on track to not caring about the things I was less enthused about.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be more positive, not say things like the shit I didn't like.
I agree with you on that assessment. I still can't think of a word. Like I wouldn't call it refreshing. I get what you mean. But again, it's just for me I would consider it refreshing if I was more pumped at the end of the episode. Like I understand where you're coming from for sure. I wouldn't use that word myself. Again, just because while there was a turnaround for me on this episode, obviously I went from thumbs up from the last handful of episodes of me just trashing, right?
A literal handful of episodes. It was the last 5.
Oof, yeah. So, and I was I think at some point in one of them, I think I said like this was really dampening my love of Star Wars even, right? I think.
Ooh, I don't remember that. But that sounds pretty harsh.
I think I recall saying something to the effect of the show is kind of really just dampening my feelings towards Star Wars. Mando was the saving grace, but this was not helping, right? And I think I mentioned that I was really hoping, Rise of Skywalker would come in and save the day.
Not going to talk with you about Rise of Skywalker yet.
It's been interesting to go back and watch the show that has been released on December 15th. In which the context for we should, I kept that in mind. I didn't think about Hux's thing as much as you did with the knowledge of Rise of Skywalker, right? I still pretty much kept the show in its own little place. But again, I don't know, my mind's blank. Like it's fine. It's fine. It's a fine episode.
Fine. Next week, Lorenzo is going to say it's sexy.
Sexy. Oh, my.
Well, so, fine is a much better review than last week. You called the show nonsense.
Oh boy!
And the week before you just called it bad. So
yeah, fine.
We're moving
fine
on.
is a good turnaround. Yeah, fine's a good turnaround. So, looking towards the next episode of Star Wars Resistance, I think we're gonna try and do what we can to catch up. But our lives are as busy as ever for both you and myself.
Yeah, I would say for myself at least, I would like to get back to consistent. So, whether or
consistent is the goal.
Whether or not we're going to be dropping multiple episodes a week to kind of get caught up, I don't know, but let's.
Yeah, it's just interesting. We were talking before recording started because as of recording here, we're recording on January 14th. Just put an explicit date on this episode, but the series finale is coming up in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
And that is nuts to think about.
Yeah.
And then Clone Wars starts off
about a
soon
month
after that. So yeah, man, there's a lot, and we still have to talk about Rise of Skywalker. We've only talked a little bit back and forth via text messaging over the holidays, and for me, I'm out of town for a little bit, but Rise of Resistance opens in Disneyland on Friday. I will try my best to ride it this weekend when I am back.
We
got to talk about that too. We're gonna have to talk about that one for sure.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got a bunch of fun Star Wars stuff.
There's a lot of Star Wars right now, man.
There's a lot of Star Wars.
Yeah. And I did buy. I'm still playing Death Stranding, but I did get Jedi Fallen Order for Christmas as well. So
cool.
That's more Star Wars we got to talk about. Yeah, man. There's a lot. There's a lot happening. So
we'll talk.
And I know you have seen Rise of the Resistance videos, and I have not yet. I have no idea what's going on in this ride. So
yeah, not to tangent too far, but I will say I have been thoroughly scouring the internet to get as much Rise of Resistance information as I can, including like full ride videos and whatever is legally available. So
right, I have not looked forward at all. I have not watched the following episode of Resistance or anything.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited to talk about some of that stuff coming down the pike.
Yeah, that's coming up 2020. Let's go.
Yeah. And even some of the end of 2019 stuff. So
there's a lot, so much. So that said, the next episode of Resistance, at least, is titled "The Missing Agent." I see. So,
yep.
Well,
you got any predictions here?
I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be.
I'll lead you with some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Is this an agent of the Resistance or an agent of the First Order?
That was my pause. Cool. My initial thought is that the missing agent is going to be Tam.
Okay.
That's my gut feeling. I have no evidence. I have no reasoning for that gut feeling. But my feeling is that Tam will be the missing agent.
Well, you heard it today, and
she will.
Again, we'll find out next week.
We're recording this episode at a time where this episode has been out for that episode. The missing agent has been out for like a full month already. So somebody knows.
Hey, Lorenzo, you are keeping it consistent with viewing these one episode at a time.
One at a time on these. So my brain cannot retain more than one at a time. So that said, before we get to next week's episode, if you liked what you heard, please head over to, what is it? NotTheNerdsPodcast.com?
NotTheNerds.com would be our website. Yeah, if you want to directly interact, you can hit Twitter at NotTheNerds. And YouTube would probably be the other most direct way other than the old-fashioned email, which is notthenerdspodcast@gmail.com. But head on over to the Not the Nerds. You should be able to find any type of link you're looking for if you want to share this with a friend, which would be great, or if you want to find a way to give us a rating or give us your opinion, that would be awesome as well. So we would appreciate any and all of those things.
All the shout outs, you want to go for those?
Yeah, we got They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. He's our graphic artist. Ed Blue the Beard, he's our website guy. And then Lindsay at streamsfantasymusic@gmail.com. Put together our intro outro music. Other than that, I am Kevin Horde.
I'm Lorenzo.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.